Okay, and welcome back to the third part of the show now. Now I'm with Simone and Lovelda Vincenzi, and they are known, according to this magazine as well, the public speaking power couple. And you're right. Good afternoon to the two of you.
Good afternoon.
I gather this is going to be a great interview this afternoon because you've been fed.
I have been fed. It's always a good starting point.
It's a good starting point for any conversation. I always like all my guests to be comfortable as you'll understand with that at the same time. Now, at the moment, you are really sort of doing all sorts of new aspirations, new things as well. So tell me first of all, exactly, because Simone was on last week. So it's your turn now.
You heard that.
It's your turn.
I don't
now,
even know why I'm here right now.
We're going to discuss as well, what's it like to be a husband and wife power couple? But what are you doing at the moment? Tell me all about the things that are happening in your life, business-wise.
Oh, okay. It's good that you gave me some parameters to work with it. So pre-COVID, I worked as an MC, moderator and host, which essentially means I interviewed and introduced speakers onto stages, which is great fun, except when nobody can do events, physical events. And I'm known for doing those events that have 3 days and lots of parties and all of that sort of stuff, which are quite difficult to replicate online. So I also have a real passion for diversity, in particular gender diversity on stages, and having a space and supporting more women and getting their voices out. So I work with a lot of female business owners to help them to understand how to market and sell themselves so that they can position their expertise effectively to get known. So I switched to doing more of that because the stage has kind of dried up a little bit.
But it is important. How important is Black History Month to you as well? Because, you know, as I was talking to Simone the other day, you know, I want all communities in Britain, irrespective of the colour of their skin, to feel like first-class citizens. So is it important for you to sort of see something like that? Because, you know, for me, what we try to do on this channel is really highlight all the values of all communities.
I think it's super important. I think it's one of those topics which, in the course of day-to-day life, we can kind of forget about. I mean, this year's been quite different with the kind of re-uprising of the Black Lives Matter movement and some of the things that we've seen happen during the course of this year. But I think it's easy for that to be something that we just don't think about, you know, what's the inclusion mix, etc. And I see it very often on stages. You know, I've chosen the battle of women on stage, but even within that, when you look at the women on stage, the mix is very rarely there. And I think there's a lot of missed opportunities there. So to me, having a whole month where we can invite the conversation, I think the more we talk, the easier it is for us to actually have the society I think a lot of us actually would prefer to see, that kind of nice, blended, inclusive space where everybody feels like a valued citizen.
What do you think women in business need today? What are the things that, I mean, you know, for me, I wish there were more high-powered executives like yourself. I wish there were more women in power. I'm talking about politically as well, because I think the world would be a much better place at the same time. So what do you think is missing right now? And do you think that during the COVID period as well, was that a massive issue for female business owners?
I think it depends on whether or not you're a mother. I think mums at home probably bore the brunt of it. I can't speak for them, I'm not one myself, but I suspect that situation meant that now they, you know, where you can go to work and focus on work, you're at home and the kids are asking the questions and you know, taking on all this extra work of having to educate the children. I think if you're single, it's slightly different. If you're with a partner but you've got your own life, it's a little bit different. I think, you know, as women we work a little bit differently. We have different needs and requirements, and sometimes the narrative of let's go, hustle bustle, get it done doesn't work for us on a long-term basis, and so you watch women getting burnt out more often than they ever should.
Now the two of you, because he's been remarkably quiet this
That's been
afternoon.
good, hasn't he?
I still have a journey home with her, so I'm not saying anything wrong.
How do you get on in business? How does it work?
Well, I gotta say, I would love to hire her. That's how good she is.
Excellent.
She's brilliant.
Well, there you go.
And
if
I'm not
all
sa-
else fails.
If all else fails, I go work for my husband.
I'm not saying this because my wife, because I married her, but in business, she's absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
And when I asked her, hey, why don't you come and work in our company? Her answer was, you cannot afford me.
Oh, right. Oh, that's
So I was like,
charming.
okay, that's done. That's not gonna happen then. And I love the dynamic that we have because we
Yeah.
have two separate businesses. I often try to get her involved in some of the stuff that I do, and she said, no, I'll go my stuff, you go on your own journey, I'll go my own. But then we have exchanges and conversation every single day. We are launching a new product, something happens with a client, something happens with a supplier, and we have these conversations which take our relationship, I think, on a different dimension as well.
Now, from
He's
the
not-
other side of the table,
I taught him well. He's got good responses today.
good response.
No, it's
I had
good.
a briefing before coming here.
There was
Don't
no
say this.
briefing.
Don't ever say this.
There was no briefing. No, it's good. I think it's a blessing in some ways because often the entrepreneurial journey can be a tiresome, lonely one in which your partner just doesn't understand. It's a very different mindset to if you're going into a job day to day. And so it's nice to know somebody else who's going through exactly the same thing at the same time. The key, I would say, is communication. We have different flashpoints. We have different things that kind of trigger us.
So yours is hunger.
Mine is definitely hunger. It's a family trait. I'm dobbing everybody in. It is a family trait. We're not very good when we're hungry.
And I mean, it must be good at some time. You know, a lot of people say don't work with your spouses because you then take work home with you as well. So do you take work home, the two of you, or is there sort of this as soon as the front door closes, that's it, you become just a married couple again? How does it work?
Work lives at home all the time. It's kind of intertwined in amongst us. I mean, we were on honeymoon talking about this and we can't help ourselves. It's not that we don't switch off. I will sometimes deliberately pick vacations in which he can't get online. Works in the early years of marriage. So we do love to have some time off, but we'll also do travel and work. So for us, sometimes the downtime is having the space to have some of those higher level conversations. You've just got somebody you can brainstorm off, where I don't think, if I had to sit down and do that brainstorming in my head, I'd probably go crazy.
So tell me, I mean, creatives, and I classify you both as creatives. Mm-hmm. But creatives, as I know, you wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, and you can't wait to tell someone else, because, okay, it's the middle of the night, but so what? Have you had to deal with situations like that where you suddenly found one of you, sort of, Simone,
Absolutely.
perhaps scribbling down something in the middle of the night?
It happens all the time. And I know, for example, when we are in the evening, she doesn't want to talk much business in the evening unless just something particular going on. While that's where I get a lot of ideas. Okay. So now it's at 10 p.m. We are ready to go to sleep. Oh, baby, I got this thing in my head. And you can see her rolling around. Or sometimes I have maybe like a 10 minutes break before another call. And she will come in and say, hey, do you mind checking this quick question, which is, as you know, not a quick question.
No,
because
that's a demand by the sound of it.
It requires a 25 minutes introduction to get to that quick question. And I was like, I really gotta go. So we found our dynamic, because now we've been together for a few years, so we found our dynamic, but at the beginning, it was tough. We had to figure each other out quite a bit.
We also have very different communication styles. So I want to go into every last little bit of detail.
Oh my God.
Okay.
He's not a detail person. So when I'll describe a plan, his plan will take like 2 minutes, really high level,
Yes.
and it's going to make lots of money. It's generally how it ends. This, big money. And mine goes, so then the thing is, if I connect this to here, then what exactly do I do with... And he's like, I just can't. So it just took a little while for us to work out that we just have very different styles of communication as well.
And, you know, as a power couple, you know, when you... do you go out to dinner? I mean, and do you do normal things? You know, I just get. I feel like you should have Duracells, you know, sponsoring you, or so. You know, there's like this continuous energy coming from these. Do you ever calm down? Do you ever relax? Do you ever go out to dinner? Do you ever? I mean, are you invited to dinner parties anymore? Because all you want to talk is business. I don't know. Tell me about yourselves.
No, we definitely switch off. I will very much take his phone and throw it in the bottom of my bag for when we go out for dinner. It's actually a rule. I'm like, hand it over, because the minute he glances, he's like, oh, what's that? And then he's responding to messages. We do a lot of things that mean that we can't engage with our phone or work. So I like, what do they call those, like secret cinema type things?
Yeah,
like interactive cinemas.
Interactive cinemas where there was a thing when you were going outside and a lot of people coming
something
together.
Adventurous.
Those days.
Hike a mountain or something that just, something completely different that just means that we're completely disconnected.
We go on a cottage sometimes, like out in the countryside, just have some switch off time. Because working from home now, before I used to run a lot of events, she used to run events, so we're often out of the house. Yeah. But now business is at home, home is business. Yeah. And so even having a different physical space like a cottage or somewhere else, that helps, because otherwise when you're at home, you're always thinking about work, and that's what I found out.
Okay, so it comes to advice time now. What's the best advice you would give to a power couple, another power couple like yourselves? What's the best advice you'd give?
I'd say schedule the downtime, because the schedules, our natural cycles and schedules are completely different. And so we actually have to just diarize things, which might sound completely unromantic, but it's how it works for us. Put it in the calendar, it happens.
Look, 8:30.
Yep.
Phone in bag, off to dinner.
Pretty much.
Get a couple therapists. I'm actually not joking. Now we are pretty open about this, but it was a period of our relationship where we had a therapist and to help us out.
Yep.
Because
I can't think why.
there are so many different dynamics that are intertwined with such strong personalities.
I get that. Yeah.
And that helped me personally understand a lot more on how to relate with her, how to approach her, and not trigger each other all the time for small things that became big.
Yeah, when you've got two very stubborn, very hard-headed people together, an argument can kind of go off tangent quite easily.
I can imagine. let's gloss over that. But obviously, Simona in the past, had some pretty hard upbringing times as well, which probably describes his drive today, in wanting to succeed. What was your upbringing like? So, what drives you now?
I had a very, I call it globish, international upbringing. My father was an avionics engineer. I was born in the Caribbean, but I grew up in the South Pacific in Papua New Guinea. I went to international schools and then moved to the UK when I was about 15 or 16. So I did my A-levels, GCSEs, and university here. But throughout that period, I think it's because my family, we were reasonable, like middle-class family, but we didn't come from a huge amount necessarily. And so I kind of had parents who were incredibly driven. And so from a very young age, my mother was like, you go out, you can do anything. And so I think I just always had it in me to just go out, and if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well, and I'm going to give it 100%. And so that's always kind of naturally been my drive. I've never been that person who can kind of show up half-hearted to anything. I'm either 100% in or I'm just not doing it.
Okay, now I'm going to ask a very awkward question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So, what makes a great male entrepreneur and what makes a great female entrepreneur?
Do you want me to say what makes a great male, like both from my side?
Yes.
Or, okay. That's a really interesting question. Makes a great male entrepreneur? Well, I think there is a common trait for male and female, which is drive and having this desire to serve and make a difference. And I think what makes a great male entrepreneur in a relationship is someone who can slow down and remember that they have a family, that there is someone else in their life, because business can suck your life entirely. And then for a female entrepreneur, I think that dedicate actually as much to the business, that the amount of time that it dedicates to the family without feeling guilty.
Your turn.
Oh, I think male and female entrepreneurs have different triggers in similar sort of ways. I think fundamentally what makes a great entrepreneur is the same whether you're male or female. What allows you to be successful as a female entrepreneur is to remember that you deserve to be and to give yourself permission to show up 100% and to say no to things that don't serve you. I think as a male entrepreneur, it's remembering, as Simone said, it's not just about the business, that if you are to experience the fullness of life, you're going to have to dedicate about as much time to everything else as you do to your business, or the other stuff just will cease to exist.
Yeah. Now, I know both of you are doing a lot of broadcasting, so tell me, what are you doing at the moment in broadcasting yourself?
I host my own podcast, which I launched I actually had the idea long before lockdown, but lockdown, I had lots of time to record it. Season 2 starting next week on the 27th of October. It's called the Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast. And I use it as an opportunity to explore what feminine power is, talking to women from all different sorts of backgrounds.
Good.
Myself, I do, again, a podcast, the Explode Your Expert Business Show, which has been now going on for about 3.5 years. So we have more than 300 episodes. It's a great project that I love. And as well doing now online events and seminars, which the one that before I was doing in person, now they moved on Zoom from the comfort of my home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What do you think the two of you gives you the most pleasure?
Quality time with quality people. Yeah. It's actually that simple for me. I think whether it's in business or in my personal life, it's good quality time with great quality people.
Some exciting activities. Give an example. For my birthday, she brought me to these caves in Wales where there were trampolines inside.
Really?
Yeah.
It was an
And of course, no signal.
And
no signal.
You were in the caves.
I have a very great way of keeping them entertained.
Bouncing up and down. You knew where he was.
Something adventurous. That means you're not, and you don't need your phone for this, and you're quite happy to give it up.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon. I'd like to have you back again soon. We can talk more. Unfortunately, we're out of time this afternoon. So if you can just talk to your camera, can you both say how people can get in contact with you? Lovelda first.
You can find me, Lovelda Vincenzi, pretty much on all social media platforms. I'm very active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I had to think about that for a moment. Website, if you're looking for an MC, moderator, or host, lovelda@lovelda.com.
Yes,
You can find me on my personal website, which is Simone V, so SIMONEV.co. And we have a lot of free resources if you are in business to start or scale and grow a business. So make sure you check it out.
Guys, thank you so much. And not a blow between you. Yeah, it worked. It worked. You were fed. And you look stunning as well. I love the whole thing. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank
It's been
you.
really, really kind of you. Okay, well, that's the first show of the week. Under our new coronavirus regulations, I'm still trying to work them out myself at the moment. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the show today. I think it's been absolutely exhilarating and inspirational. The guests that I've had on today are just absolutely fabulous. So for me, Ian Pelham-Turner, on ALB UK Television and positivebritain.co.uk, this is the Voice of London. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care and bye for now.